Welcome to Epic Tales and Critical Fails, a Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remastered podcast. Prepare for adventure, terror, and the occasional use of bad language. We're a rules-light podcast. We don't agonize over the rules because, quite frankly, there's a lot of them, and we will get them wrong occasionally, so be kind. We're also using hero points slightly differently. No one gets them at the beginning of a session. Instead, the players accrue them during the game, and they can have a maximum of 3 at any one time. But if the worst happens, they have to spend them all to stay alive.
I'm Laura, and I play Katarra, a sneaky, stealthy sailor, or pirate, depending on your point of view.
I'm Lucy, and I play Bethilde, landlady of the Wandering Barnacle and grandmotherly gnome.
I'm Mike, and I play Bertie Bunce, halfling cleric of Pharasma.
I'm Maddy, and I play Minesh Adon, a tempestuous root leshy of death.
I'm Kyle, I play the vastly knowledgeable and cunningly clever Xander Dante.
And I'm Michael, I'm your GM, and I play everybody else. So, Gale lunges towards Katarra, grabs her on the shoulders, says this creepy little phrase that I've forgotten.
Great start, great start.
Oh, yeah.
And
What you think of as life is a great deception. The faithful have already been claimed, taken, and saved. You are ours. And then collapses onto the floor.
Yay!
Why are you saying yay?
Because he's collapsed onto the floor.
wait, does he look unconscious or?
He looks down.
Looks down, okay.
What?
There's no light in his eyes anymore. The clockwork just grinds to a halt.
I doubt there was ever light in those eyes.
This isn't over, though.
However,
no.
it is
I can still-
Xander's go.
I can still hear the battle music.
Xander, would
There's
you
a
like
pile-
to incinerate your allies?
There's a
Or are
pile
you
of
thinking
dead
that maybe mistrust and a wariness are probably the way to go? Or would you like to stay in the initiative order?
As far as I'm concerned now, that the room's just full of enemies, and I need
Everybody, you're unfriendly to them, you just trust them, you just like them.
Okay.
Can you take us all, though? Probably not.
Take you.
Is that what Minesh?
Okay, if we're not like out with the antagonistic and they're off on their own, I guess Xander doesn't see the point of this. These weird little cretins. Why would he spend time with trying to like get rid of them? He's going to just walk out the door, close it. Is there anything in that outside this room which he could put up against it to keep it locked?
There's a giant snail or the body of an automata.
I mean, more like a chair, so that something that's light, so Xander could actually carry, but not like
There's some shredded skin.
It's not going to close a door. I need something to lock him in,
Yeah,
and
you
then
could u-
let
could
him
use
rot
the
slowly.
The automata is your only chance, really. There's a snail or an automata. They're the only two things that look big enough to block the door. So you've gone outside,
Yeah,
and then you sort of spend
there's nothing here. Yeah,
kind of a minute probably
Looking around.
looking around for something, at which point the spell fades and you suddenly realise that you're not as paranoid as you thought you were.
I was just going to try and run away. I wanted to lock him
We've
in.
got 2 actions left because that was only 1 action.
Okay,
leave the
well,
room.
I
Yeah,
was-
but he then spends time
Yeah, I
looking for
spent the
something
entire time looking for something to lock you in and kill you. Okay, so after like a solid minute of walking
Oh,
around,
by the way,
like,
Bethilde, roll a climb check.
It's not her turn.
No, but I've come out of initiative order because he's just looking for something.
yeah.
That'll be 12.
12. You managed to slither across the ceiling. Are you slithering back to the wall, or are you slithering across the ceiling and dropping on something?
Xander's left the room, hasn't he?
Yes.
I'm going to slither in direction of Xander.
Okay. Roll another climb check.
10.
10. Okay, you keep slithering. Have you reached the door yet?
Are you coming back through the door?
Well,
Yeah.
it'd be 5 feet, 5 feet. So roll another one.
2. But
2.
But at the moment when like Bethilde's sort of sticky foot starts to feel less sticky, she has like a really weird feeling of deja vu and goes, let's try that again.
You've used that already today.
No, I didn't.
You-
So I didn't. When did I use that?
You used it on a skill check last time round. Before the fight with Gale. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay.
So you fall off the ceiling, fall to the floor, take 5 points of bludgeoning damage, plus another 5. So it doesn't really make much difference. You go to dying 2. And as you hit the floor, what's everybody else doing?
After a solid minute of looking around, Is that so? Something he doesn't want to like, just straight up fight him, but he just wants to kind of lock him in so they can't like come after him. He stops like, what in the hell am I doing? He then comes back in the room. And I can assume I see an unconscious Bethilde.
Yes, there's an unconscious Bethilde on the floor.
It's a snail.
In the
Snail
interim,
off,
Bertie, Minesh, anybody else doing anything?
Well, can someone do like a medicine check on this collapsed Gale to see if he is
Yes.
actually
I
dead?
can.
Ulti runs over and kicks the snail to do some CPR.
Oh, I thought she was kicking Gale.
No, she kicks the snail. She does a snail's version of CPR, which is kick it in the foot.
Can I do a medicine on Gale?
You can. It is 26, so you are stable. So you're now stable, which means she can then spend 10 minutes trying to figure out how the hell you heal a snail, which she does.
Well, actually, the spell is only for 10 minutes. At
All
which
right,
point,
so this-
during the process of her, so she's like holding the snail, and it just turns into Bethilde.
16 points of healing. And medicine check on Gale.
That was a 14.
14. You find a little black box attached to one of his arms that seems to slide off, almost as if it was something nearly clipped into the arm's socket in his arm. And now that he's died, whatever was holding it in seems to have released, and it slides out. And you look inside it, and it's got a pack of playing cards.
But does she get the sense that this is like dead?
Well, she finds these, and it assumes that he looks dead.
Okay.
Ulti fails on treat wounds on Katarra.
When you say dead,
Critically fails on Tuppence. Tuppence takes 1 point of
Obviously,
damage.
much better at healing snails
mm,
than anybody else.
when you say dead, is it like dying or dead?
He seems to be inert, completely and utterly still. Like all of his gears have stopped, all of his clockwork stopped, his eyes are just staring blankly into space.
Okay, can I just
It
whack
looks like
him?
Gale has left the building.
Can I just whack him a few more times
You
just
whack
to
him a
make
few
sure?
more times, blood
Poke
comes
him.
flying out, an arm goes skidding across the floor, the heart flops onto the floor and just leaks blood.
And you know, he said that he has to wind himself up for every 24 hours.
He said that an automata does,
He's
but
not
he
an
talked about
automata.
having perpetual motion.
Could Tuppence do some treat wounds on Katarra, please?
Tuppence does succeed on Katarra. He's like, don't worry, Governor, I've got you.
Thanks,
9 points of healing.
Can I walk up to Gale? I will kind of make my way past Minesh, and can I use crafting to see if I can figure out where some kind of power source or battery is within Gale?
Go for it.
That is 23.
23. Looking at what's left of Gale after Minesh has smashed the creature a few more times, there was definitely something. Something seems to almost have rearranged the metallic innards of his chest, like right at the central point, mid-torso, just below where the heart would be, but in the dead center of the chest. And it looks like it almost melted and reformed the metal there. But whatever it is gone. And it doesn't look like it was damaged or destroyed. It's not like it's been deformed in any way and whatever was there has been broken. It looks like it was carefully removed at some point. There's there's a kind of the telltale marks of something being just pulled out with very fine tweezers or with a screwdriver or the tip of a blade or something. It's been removed deliberately but carefully.
As I'm leaning over Gale's corpse, I can only imagine, I'll keep tinkering away, and after everyone leaves a bit or like gives a bit of space, I'll lean a bit closer and just whisper to him, I don't know if you're still in there. I don't know if the flesh has given up or the machinery. I don't care. I do need you to know this, though. I do think you're right. All of these people spend all of their petty lives doing absolutely nothing of worth. But I need you to know this even more. You are not the one who's going to fix that. Right now. And then I go back to speak with everyone, see what the next course of action is.
Okay, and as you're covering him over, giving him a once-over with your crafting check, you also find a little hatch when you open it. There's 2 vials inside of it.
Oh, sweet. Do I know what the vials are?
You can roll in Arcana check to figure that out.
Yep.
Can I just look around the room, inspect these dead bodies?
You inspect the dead bodies, and Bethilde is able to point out to you there's a bandolier in them.
Okay, can I grab the bandolier?
So,
Yes.
Sorry, what am I rolling again?
Arcana.
Arcana. 17.
17. They look like oils of unlife.
Do I know what that does?
It's basically restores anybody who has a void healing trait.
You need to give them to Ulti.
I don't need to do a goddamn thing.
Xander keeps everything in his bag and forgets
Ulti has
about it.
never cast void healing on herself.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
we've
that's a good
seen
point.
that, yeah.
Minesh didn't say anything.
But Maddy did.
You imagine that what Gale was doing was whatever grafting he was doing, the oil of unlife was probably keeping the flesh alive in between the grafting process. It was like a kind of a preserving fluid, essentially.
So also, do these people look like your missing people that you were searching for?
She starts pulling out the different missing posters. Well, yes, that's one of them. She wanders around the corner of the heap and nudges a form on the floor. I think the barmaid is still alive.
Will
What?
someone best heal her then?
Well,
The barmaid is still alive.
Yes. She drags the unconscious form of the halfling barmaid
I'm
over.
gonna go and do a medicine check. I'm like, oh dear, we must look after you. Like, come here. I'm gonna do a medicine check.
Ulti also does one.
Hope she did better than me. I got a 7.
She got a 16, 17, something like that. After 10 minutes of working on her and sort of binding the few wounds that this halfling has got, she just, you? What? What happened? Who are you
It's a
lot?
very long story.
You don't
Alright.
want to know. You really don't want to know. It wasn't very pleasant.
Oh, she looks over at Gale's peripheral. It was him! He jumped me on the way home from work.
We've
bar do
taken
you
care
work
of
in?
The
him.
lazy mule.
The lazy. Oh, okay. No, we should have left her in the pile.
Walking back with his bandolier over your shoulder, Katarra, you look at this halfling and it's like, well, she came out all right then.
Yeah, so do I get is it just a regular bandolier or...
Roll an Arcana check if you want to do that.
Well, I can, but I probably won't do very well. Oh, well, that's a natural 19, but I don't think I've got anything in my Arcana.
You think it's a thrower's bandolier.
Ooh.
You think if you could stick up to 4 knives in it and they would become +1 throwing knives. And you think if you throw them all and then spent 2 actions using the bandolier, they would all pop back to the bandolier.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, mine,
Pretty cool.
not Xander's, mine.
However,
I can give us a once over if you want.
You stay away from
it is
myself.
interact to draw, throw.
Yes, I know. Can they just do a general perception check of this room to see if there is
Yep.
like anything else of interest, worth?
Like a gaping hole at the back of it.
Yes, it's pretty obvious. This gaping hole is mostly cleared. It looks like it's pretty easily to traverse.
I'm gonna call Beauregard back in, and I'm just gonna say, "Oh gosh, I don't know how you do it. I never knew that it was so hard being a snail."
22. There's a gaping hole in the back wall. It looks like it's been mostly cleared to allow access, and it looks like there's been repeated passage over it, judging by the way that some of the stones there are scored, and there seems to be blood trails that have dried. Looking over the rest of the room, other than what you've already seen, there's a couple of lanterns, 2 of which have been smashed by the fight. There's obviously the bodies, most of which are beyond, that no one else is alive in this room. Literally, the barmaid was grabbed so recently is probably the only reason she's still alive.
So there's no other life form in this cave.
It
at
doesn't
all.
appear to be. However, there is a gaping hole in the wall.
Can Minesh walk over and survey what's beyond?
You survey the gaping hole in the wall. It seems to be a tunnel, almost like a cleft in the earth, like some sort of tectonic movement.
Secret tunnel.
Sheared the tunnel open.
I know, but we have a barmaid on death's door, so perhaps.
Actually, after my excellent medicine check, she's back to full health.
Looking healthier than some of us.
Can we?
You see Beauregard in the corner, like looking really, really wrong.
Well, perhaps before traversing down a secret tunnel, we ought to get ourselves in better shape.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This tunnel. If we look in it, can we see where it leads or anything? Is there any light, or is it just pitch black?
It's pitch black.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, unfortunately, I've got to agree.
I think
unfortunately.
perhaps heading back to the Spiral Shrine for a night and get some rest.
I'll tell you what, Governor. I'm feeling quite healthy, so I could run down it and tell you what's there. I'm very sneaky.
You have dark
but
vision.
you shouldn't go.
Yeah, I do. I'm a kobold.
You
I
shouldn't
grew
go.
up in a cave.
You shouldn't go alone, Tuppence.
He'll be
Beauregard, go
fine.
with Tuppence.
Tuppence
Be a good
disappears into the
boy.
darkness, and you can't even hear him moving.
And so
Look at him go.
Beauregard's going to follow.
Okay, Beauregard follows.
Minesh follows as well.
Minesh follows as well.
Yeah.
Can I run
After
all-
about 3 minutes, Tuppence comes scurrying back and appears. His head pokes out, and he's kind of shepherding Minesh and Beauregard ahead of him. He's like, "So it leads into a crypt, right? There's this empty room. Seems to be doglegging round the corner to some stairs. I had a peek around the corner. Doesn't appear to be anybody in it.
I suppose we can spend a bit of time just having a.
Don't worry,
Look.
I'll stay near the barmaid.
I'm sure you will, Tuppence.
Ooh.
Look, I am the one who is proficient with shields.
I thought you were going to say you were proficient with something else then.
No, I am
Gale's
proficient. I am
What have you
proficient.
heard about the ship?
Look, I
not.
wielded a hatchet on my ship, and it was a very successful hatchet. Right now, I've got a short sword.
Okay, well, we'll sort of do
It's
a bit.
cold.
It's a magic short sword.
We'll do a bit of investigation of the room or whatever it is.
Okay,
that
are you
Tuppence
heading
has
through this side chamber?
Can I
Through a
cast
secret
dispel
tunnel.
Yeah.
detect magic around
Yep.
just see if I find anything whilst we're going down there?
The bandolier that Katarra's wearing pings as magic. And
Katara's already secured it. It's
yeah,
like,
it's an invested item,
you'd
so
have to,
I'll
like-
get that
I was
bandolier.
going to say, you'd have to pry it off her cold, dead body.
That can be arranged.
No, it can't, 'cause she's already dead.
Okay.
dark
Give me the
fissure,
bandolier.
a dark fissure extends 30 feet or more through the earth and stone, then opens into what appears to be a structure of some kind. Spider webs hang down from the ceiling but appear to have been recently disturbed by the passage of numerous creatures. The broad stone steps in the southeast corner descend into an adjoining chamber.
into the chamber.
I assume
Okay.
so. We're all just
There's
just go.
nothing.
Yeah.
Can I? Yeah, I'm going to keep casting detect magic. Can I also just check around the walls?
Yeah, roll
make sure
perception.
nothing's. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make sure
nothing
nothing's,
magical pings in here.
But is there? Okay, I'll roll perception. Is there
I
anything
rolled
like?
perception as well and got 24.
I got 19.
19. Between the pair of you, you're looking around the room, and there doesn't appear to be anything. There's, spider webs down here, a few bugs, bit of dirt. But it doesn't appear that there's anything notable in this chamber. It almost looks like this chamber was placed here and never finished. Like
Okay.
it was created for expansion, potentially. Like the further on you get with the family line, the more bodies you need to inter in a crypt, the more space you might need. It seems like it was there as a thought, a future-proofing the crypt in the first place. It doesn't look like it's got any further purpose to it. And there certainly doesn't see anything magical in it.
The cave we went down. Is that like the natural route to get down to this crypt, or is this like a crypt to somewhere
It
else?
looks like the wall and that section of earth shattered or shifted at some point in the past, creating a fissure between the basement of the funhouse and this crypt.
Okay.
Almost like there was a weak point in the earth that probably when the earthquake happened, it caused a shift, which then opened it up.
And lastly, using all of that information, can I figure out what building we are under in this crypt?
You're probably still under the fairground because you would
Okay.
be right adjacent to the funhouse by about 30 feet.
Okay.
So you'd be 30 feet east of the funhouse, most likely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No worries.
Moving on from that, you descend the stone steps and into what seems to be a burial chamber. Stone sarcophagi are evenly spaced throughout the large chamber, each one intricately carved with images of various strange creatures. Birds wearing plague doctor masks, humanoid skeletons with avian skulls and feathery wings, and large draconic-like entities with feathery scales. Pools of blood have dried on the cracked stone floor, almost as if a number of wounded creatures had stood inanimate while they bled. An opening in the north wall is the only exit from this chamber.
Do we recognise any of these, pictures and things
You-
on the walls?
Well, you could roll a society check if you want to know who the people might be, or you can roll a religion check if you're interested in the iconography.
Am I getting any pings?
No.
No. Nothing. Okay.
I do a boneyard law check.
Yes.
That was a nat 20.
Okay.
So for 28.
28. Anybody else rolling?
I rolled a 4 on religion, so I know nothing.
You have no idea.
Yeah. Can I try religion? See
Yeah.
if we
If
figure
you
it.
want to know about the people who might be in the sarcophagus, you can roll society.
Is
Go on,
it
go on
com-
8.
8 and 9.
Is it common for people who aren't necessarily followers of Pharasma to still have iconography of Pharasma in tombs and...
It's not uncommon for tombs to have iconography to Pharasma, given her role and the nature that people revere death and revere the passage of the soul into the River of Souls and the final judgment. So it's not unusual for any crypt to have iconography of Pharasma. This level of it suggests they probably were a family that was deeply tied to the Church of Pharasma.
Okay.
With your natural 20 for your 28, you recognise these are a range of different psychopomps. So these are the servants of Pharasma in the Boneyard. The ones with the plague doctor masks, the birds, they're Noisoi. The ones with the winged skeletal creatures with the bird skull head is a Vanth. And the draconic shape is a Yamaraj.
Yeah, I just sort of look at them and I'm like, interesting.
Would you tell anyone this, or would you just keep it to yourself?
I would probably sort of like give you some Bethilde version of that, which is probably
long.
Not very helpful.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was interesting, and I think I saw one of those, but did I? No, I don't.
What do you mean you saw one of these?
Well, when I went for that walk, I think there was somebody else there, and then was there? I'm not entirely sure. It sort of sounded like it could look like that, but then I'm not entirely sure.
When we
But
get
now-
back, we need to have a long talk about what you saw in your
Did you get a
walk.
name? Like, do you know did it give you a name when it introduced yourself to you?
You know, now that you say it, that is very rude. It didn't say, "Hello,
Exactly.
my name's Stanley. I'm here in this strange, misty place."
I mean, I'm pretty sure things that look like any of these things probably don't introduce themselves as Stanley.
Yes, I don't think they'd be
I don't know. That one looks like it could be called Boris.
This one looks like a Jeff, says Tuppence as he starts levering open one of the sarcophagus.
Tuppence, no.
What? Aren't we
This one's definitely a Stephen.
Don't disturb the dead.
Oh, aren't we supposed to like nick things?
Not from the dead.
Are we
That's-
sure?
Yes.
Give them a wink.
All
I
right.
rolled a 19 on my society. for
You
these
recognise
people.
the family insignia around the crypts. This is the signia of the Santana family, buried within all the iconography of the Pharasman kind of psychopomps. It is the Santana family, who are a noble family of very little renown in the history of Absalom that you read about, except for one notable thing where the rather rebellious Teresia Santana got into a bit of a scandal with an artist.
That's gone way over my head.
The artist who did the gnome statues in Weevil's house.
Yep, you make the connection. It's like, this was the chick.
Connection, yeah.
You find eventually the empty sarcophagus that would have been Teresia Santana's body, her place of rest. However, you're pretty sure that the reason there's so many empty sarcophagus that haven't been sealed in this area is probably that people had died and their bodies have never recovered, likely in an earthquake. Because if they've got a crypt here, they probably lived in this area.
Anything else in this room of interest?
An exit to the north in the northeast corner.
The north.
To the north. And as you step through, a dusty altar draped in a moth-eaten black cloth stands at the centre of a room. Candle wax hangs over the sides like stalagmites, where it has melted and subsequently cooled. Bottles and jars containing larger than average insects are spread over the altar, along with a half-dozen leather-bound books. The same strange creatures as adorn the sarcophagi are carved upon the walls, the figures surrounding an image of a spiraling comet that Bertie immediately knows what it is. A pair of black metal doors would lead further into the necropolis, or crypt, whatever this place is. But there is no obvious keyhole.
Can I open and have a quick read through the leather-bound books, see if there's any context?
roll a. What would you like to roll? You can roll a nature, or arcana, or occultism.
Occultism seems fitting.
Okay.
Can Minesh join him and roll a nature? On
Yep.
the book?
19.
Okay.
I'm
Bethilde?
going to. I see. As we walk in, I see that Bertie instantly clocks this comet thing. I sort of sidle over and I go, "You all right there, Bertie?"
Well, it's quite interesting to have found a shrine to Pharasma in this place. But I suppose being near crypts, it makes sense to a certain extent.
Does she like crypts? Is she a kind of a cryptic goddess?
Tuppence just looks at you as like, you do realise who you're talking about, yeah? Like,
Oh yes, of course. This is the death and the life and
lady
all that
lives
kind
in
of
the
thing.
crypt.
Oh, but that doesn't very nice. Sound very nice.
This is Laura asking, but would it kind of like be sort of like the funeral kind of?
So people would usually have a shrine to Pharasma in their crypts because when their relatives came down to pay them a visit, they would pray to Pharasma for the for fair judgment of their ancestors.
Are there any candles?
There are some very melted candles that look like they've been burned down to
grabbing,
nothing.
like some more candles for the pub.
Can I cast prestidigitation to light the candles?
You light them
Ooh.
and they sizzle and immediately go out because there's not enough wax or wick to sustain them.
Do they look like they've? Does it all look like it's been undisturbed for a while, or does this look like it's been recently visited?
The candles look like they've been undisturbed for a while, but the jars and the books look more recent. Although the books are old, but it looks like they've been it's definitely, those things seem more recently disturbed than the candle wax. The candle wax is solid. You try and peel it off, it would take a good old yank to get that off.
And does Pharasma like bugs, insects, creatures?
Pharasma's preferred animal is bird, so you don't think so?
Yeah, it's not something that would particularly ring a bell with me.
Birds eat bugs. That'd be a
Seems like a very
favour.
weird thing to put on an altar.
What do I see in these books?
Minesh, what did you roll?
15.
15. Okay, so between the two of you, you start looking at these books. There are 5 volumes of entomology texts and 1 journal. Now, the entomology texts are The Life Cycle of World Wound Hymenoptera by Jassith Lambda. World Wound Hymenoptera, which you immediately recognise means wasps, bees, ants.
Okay.
Sharky and George's Insects and Insect Venoms of Golarion, 117th edition, by Marlowe Phillips.
The what?
Sharky and George's Insect Venoms of Golarion, 117th edition, by Marlowe Phillips.
Insect Venoms of Golarion.
Yep. Insects of the Manor Wastes by Albus Morrigan, sorry. Insects of the Inner Sea by Berenil Thistlepod. And Wings and Whispers, The Secret Life of Golarion's Insects, 2nd edition, by Talia Vesmero. You kind of have a flick through them. The Life Cycle of the World Wound Hymenoptera. It's a groundbreaking work in which Jathis Lambda meticulously documents the unique and often terrifying Hymenoptera found around the chaotic expanses of the World Wound. Focusing on the life cycles, behaviors, and adaptations of these insects, Lambda explores how they thrive amidst the taint of the abyss. Detailed illustrations accompany each section, revealing the complex interactions between these creatures and their environment. Readers will also uncover insights into how these insects are not just harbingers of doom, but also vital to the ecosystem, serving as both prey and predators in a land walked by demonic magic. Sharky and George's Insect Venoms of Golarion, which is now in its 117th edition. This irreverent yet informative guide by the famed duo Sharky and George is a staple for adventurers and scholars alike. Marlowe Phillips provides a comprehensive and up-to-date overview of the various insect venoms found throughout Golarion, ranging from the paralyzing sting of the dread Nidalee cliff stinger scorpion to the debilitating poison of the wormwood beetle. Packed with anecdotes, survival tips, and whimsical illustrations, this edition features a special chapter on the uses of venoms in alchemy and magical concoctions, alongside humorous accounts of the duo's misadventures in their quest to document the world's most dangerous insects.
Deadly 60 of Golarion.
Pretty much, yep. The Insects of the Manor's Waste is a thesis that was written by a professor of entomology, and delves into the peculiar entomological wonders that inhabit the volatile and arcane-infused region of the Manor Wastes. The meticulous study examines how the manor-rich environment has birthed unique adaptations in insects, leading to extraordinary abilities and bizarre behaviors. Morrigan offers detailed observations on luminescent moths that thrive in magical storms, and hardy beetles that absorb ambient energy. The book serves as both a scientific resource and a cautionary tale, highlighting the interplay between magic and nature in a land scarred by catastrophe. Rich illustrations, descriptions, and vivid descriptions bring the manor-warped insects to life, captivating anyone fascinated by this intersection of ecology and the arcane. The Compendium of Biting and Stinging Insects Baronil Thistlepod meticulously catalogues the diverse insects found across the Inner Sea region. This tome delves into the habitats, and magical properties of various biting and stinging creatures, offering insight into their roles in local ecosystems and potential use in alchemy and herbalism. And finally, Wings and Whispers, The Secret Life of Golarion Insects, by Talia Vesmero. Vesmero, an eccentric nationalist from the city of Katapesh, explores the mystical connections between insects and the natural world in this enlightening volume. Through captivating anecdotes and detailed illustrations, she reveals how insects communicate, their interactions with other creatures, and their influence on the balance of life and death in Golarion. You think somebody's been doing a lot of reading about bugs?
A staggering amount of reading about bugs.
Can I see any evidence other than the actual bugs and jars of bugs?
Beauregard is next to you.
Beauregard is a
mollusk.
mollusk.
Oh, damn it. I've made to look a fool.
Not so educated now, are you?
No. Other than what's in the jars, you don't see any other evidence of bugs in this place. There's no bugs on the floor, there's no shells, there's nothing. It's just bugs in jars.
Is there any other
final-
life
No, none of them are alive. They're all dead.
on the ground?
No. Well, there's like bugs in the previous room, but in here, no.
Xander, can you see if there's anything magical in here?
Yeah, I've been pinging detect magic, haven't I?
Yeah,
Bit
you ping detect magic. There's definitely some sort of spell on the door.
There is definitely a spell on the door.
The last book is a journal, and the journal contains neat, precise handwriting, which looks as though it was only started recently. The pages discuss various dissections of insects with detailed illustrations. The journal appears to be theorizing about a particular swarm of insects, which is said to be contained within the Precipice Quarter. Focuses upon the controlling of insects by pheromones and magic, and the use of venoms as potential weapons.
Is there a name in the journal? Like, this is the journal of...
Yes, on the first page it says Dear Diary.
Yes.
No. However, you
Okay,
think the door here, if you kind of give it a shove, is definitely not opening.
The journal, can I pocket that? Make sure to keep it.
Yep.
Yep, sweet. And can I go and investigate the door to see if I can figure out what type of magic or spell is being used on it?
roll an Arcana check.
And then you want to aid that, potentially.
Yep.
Natural 20!
Natural 20.
Get it!
Don't need it anyway.
The door seems to be sealed. It's a particular locking system, a system of locking spells. It's not so much a singular spell that's keeping it locked, but it's a system of arcane locks that require certain phrase or series of phrases in order to disengage them. You think there's no way to open this door without knowing the precise phrase, and that the family probably paid a lot of money to somebody to do that kind of arcane work and create that kind of arcane lock to safeguard their relatives, not realizing that when the earthquake struck, it would open a back door.
I was going to bring up, it's a real shame we walked through the back door. So, yeah, it's like a forward lock, which...
You think it could be a phrase. However,
Is there
you
any-
do notice that the door has an etching on it. It's got an image on it. On the left, it's a pair of double doors. On the left-hand door is a masked woman in what appears to be a spider silk dress. On the right door is a tall skeletal figure with large feathery wings and a bird skull head, holding a scythe.
Can I recall knowledge to see if I have any context for what these are?
Yeah, go for it. You could do religion or boneyard law would work.
Can I go for religion?
Religion,
19?
19,
22.
22. You both think they're psychopomps. You think the woman in the spider silk dress is likely a Morigna, which tend to be hunters of those who defy fate. They tend to be they're almost a bit like psychopomp bounty hunters who come and take you away when you've lived too long. And the other one would be another Vanth.
So we sort of look at the doors, then look at each other, and I'm just like, and see that? Look at that! Interesting psychopumps. What do you think the 4 words are?
Is there like a common phrase which is used in regards to like Phrasmir and like psychopomps and all of that?
A
Or
mantra.
You could ask Bertie.
Yeah.
Bertie.
What I was trying to work out.
I think it's like, Pharasmus sands run quickly, something like that.
Yeah.
It's not. There's not that many phrases that you could roll a perception check, see what else you could learn on the door.
Can I
Yeah, I want
Yeah,
to
roll
join
perception.
you with
roll
the
religion
check.
to
Yeah.
start saying phrases
Go for
at
it.
this door?
21 on perception.
17, so...
17, 21. 27. You start yelling a few, or chanting a few Pharasman phrases, but none of them seem to affect the door, although you're pretty sure you're remembering them right. Both of you look at the door, and you find that there's actually an inscription on the bottom of both of the doors. It runs across both. And it says, by blade or breath they silence strife. One brings the end of day, one the end of life. One waits by the gate, the other shadows the land. Name these two who bear death's hand.
Darkness?
You yell darkness at the door, and if the door could laugh, it would.
It's a 4-word code.
You think it could be a phrase. Well, you think it's probably in names.
Yeah.
So can you
The specific names of these creatures, which you don't know.
Can you
Betty.
Would we not know the name of those psychopomps?
No, because they're just the type of psychopomp.
Oh, there's like an individual name, not just
you
like.
think it's an individual name,
Right. Okay.
Right, okay.
And when you say it to when you say that, Bertie, with your religion check with 27, you'd be pretty sure that just saying the general type of psychopomp wouldn't be well enough.
So we need their specific
You would need
names.
to learn their specific names to open the door.
So spiral shine.
It's going to be the best solution.
Bertie, I don't recommend this often, but I think now might be a good time to try it. Have you thought about praying? Maddy is whispering across the.
I'm
across the.
metagaming.
Yeah.
Like you're asking him to pray for their names.
No.
He can pray as much as he likes.
Matilda
So
was
can
told
I-
their names.
No, Bethilde
No.
wasn't told the names. Bethilde
No,
knew they
she
were.
thought their names were Stanley and Jeff.
No, that's what
But
Matilda
tried.
said.
No,
Oh, no,
Bethilde
but-
knows
no,
there
you-
were a Marigna and a Vanth, but that's the type of psychopomps. There's
Oh,
many.
That's
of
not,
them.
that's
Yeah.
not their specific names.
These
If
are
we
probably
tried
two that had a connection.
Stephen, Jeff, Patrice, and Stella.
The door glows slightly brighter, and it looks like
Oh,
it might shock
Stella.
you if you stand near it again.
Oh,
But would anyone know their actual individual
An
names?
18th level cleric of
Like-
Pharasma, like Lady Neferpatra.
But
Okay.
there's obviously going to be well-known followers of Pharasma or servants of Pharasma.
Yeah.
Are these likely to be one of those? And would I recognise them?
Not immediately. It's likely they had some kind of connection to something the family knew about. That's why they were
Yeah.
chosen. They're not immediately obvious, because the most obvious psychopomps, like the psychopomp ushers, would just open the door immediately and people would walk in and out of the crypt all the time.
The,
so can I have the Ridley thing one more time, but slow?
Yep. Before that,
Because I'm
Xander,
old.
you're going to ask something?
Okay, so we're probably at some point gonna have to go back to the Spiral Shrine to ask about this, see if we can figure it out without revealing that we're trying to sneak into some kind of crypt.
We're inside the crypt. Should we check the graves that are inside for if there's any extra information on those?
Just real quick, would I be able to using the journal that I've got
Uh-huh.
and making a pen
Passwords
from
to stop people
prestidigitation?
getting in
Yep.
that will
Can
already
I
in, so
trace
there might be
the
something
design
inside
and shape and
that
everything of
gives
the
us a
door
clue
with
to
the
what
text and everything
password is?
underneath
Yep.
to capture as much of it as possible, so that if there's any kind of tells on it, someone with more knowledge than us in this would be able to be like, oh, this is Lady Gem, and we know this because her spider silk dress has 8 webs on it and not sex.
Yep. Yeah, so you start copying down the picture of the door. Bethilde, you wanted to hear it again. By blade or breath, they silence strife. One brings the end of day, one the end of life. One waits by the gate, the other shadows the land. Name these two who bear death's hand. You think that both Bertie and Xander are onto something, that you're looking for the personal names of these two psychopomps.
Can I go and search the crypt for
You go back into the crypt, and there are dozens of these types of psychopomps represented across the walls.
and those specific two are
And
represented.
those specific two are only represented on the door. There's subtle details: the shape of the dress, the shape of the mask, the way the build of the bird's skeleton, the way its head, it looks slightly more like an eagle than the others, which all seem to be more like whippoorwills, the traditional sort of bird skull head that would be represented by Pharasma's chosen bird. So these two stand out, but but they're obviously not well enough known, or at least commonly enough known for you to have come across them. You think with some research you could probably find it. You just either need a library that's big enough,
Yeah.
or somebody with the book or something that reveals the information.
Spiral Shrine?
Spiral shine? Spiral shine?
I mean,
Spiral shine?
just to try. So
You have been
Matilda-
threatened with by this door.
Matilda goes over, sort of elbows top and so, do you remember how you got through one of the first doors we came across? How you just like hit it very, very hard.
I did.
Had you thought about trying that with this door?
Yeah, I have. But you see, when the man says it's a magical door, the last thing I do is hit it. Because quite frankly, I've seen what happened when a non-magical door was laid a hand upon by our friend Mr. Xander here, and his hair stood on end. And I don't have any hair, so I really don't want to find out what
You've
happens.
got no hair to lose then.
No, but I don't want to know what happens when I haven't got hair to sort of earth my energy through. I don't want my scales to leap off.
Well, I thought it was worth a go. I thought you never know. We could just like bash our way
Why
in,
don't-
but okay.
I'll lend you a hatchet.
I don't think I've got the strength to swing it. I'm sorry.
Oh well. Should we go back and rob this tomb then?
I don't think Bertie would like that very much.
I don't know if it's going to be worth us doing any grave robbing.
All right, Mr. Bunce. I'll take your lead on it.
I'll look over at Tuppence.
You get the feeling there's probably not anything in this script. There was more sentimental value of the bodies being
Just comes
interred
back
here.
with like an arm bone.
Yeah.
Just like an arm and a hand, and he just like waves it at you. That's it.
Yep.
God damn it.
It's like, yeah, just brought you a hand.
First episode,
Would you
I
like
nicked a hat. Now I've got a hand. If I attach it to the hat, it's a handy hat.
Right, Spiral Shrine. Let's be gone.
Let's go. Governor, lead the way. So you wind your way back up through the funhouse basement into the...
Did the barmaid come with us? Or
Yes, the barmaid's been following you behind. She looks very pale and she's very frightened. But you lead her up to you take her out of the
I'd give her a little
precipice.
tipple. I'm glad that's all
You give her a tipple and then she starts singing.
Oh, one of those kind of barmaids.
Is she a good singer?
She is. It's pretty nice. She seems to be singing simply because she's that terrified that she just cannot bear the silence of walking through the
Maybe you
precipice
should
quarter.
book her for your pub, Bethilde.
I don't know. Are you looking for a new job?
How much do you pay?
She doesn't.
It's a
Oh, no,
safer part
probably
of
not.
town.
Well, no, we do pay.
Well-
It's just it's one of those ones where we pay you this much, but then don't forget you have to pay some taxes, and then obviously you
Yes,
have to pay off the cost of your uniform, and
You're
there's the
telling me-
training fees.
It's like the Wandering Barnacles an MLM.
Right.
Yeah, and then of
In
course
which
if you can
case,
find
no.
other barmaids and convince them to join,
No. Why?
then we pay you a little more.
This sounds more like a brothel. I find people and convince them to work for you other barmaids.
Yes. Oh, well, unless you intend to do all the shifts on your own.
I mean, no.
Exactly. So, and I
particularly
don't
want to do
have time
any
for
shift
HR.
with any drunken man groping me, thank you.
Well, you say that now, but it depends how well they tip.
It really
I'm
doesn't.
sorry your brothel is running into the ground, but I'm not looking for a new job.
I have the nicest in all of the puddles.
That's
It's
not
the
very
only
hard,
inn in the
though.
puddles.
Okay, if you're not looking for employment,
No,
you
I'm
could have
not.
just said that in the first place.
I did. You wander through.
You're not getting a reference from me.
Why would she? You haven't employed her.
What part of town is her in? In.
The lazy mule.
The lazy mule, you know,
No,
it's
no,
an
no.
Eastgate.
Nice bit.
She was wandering along. She was
it's
wandering along the streets on the edge of Eastgate, close to the Precipice Quarter, when she was grabbed. Because you learnt that from her brother, who was looking for her.
Oh, what's her name?
You would have asked. Her name is Friari or Grafford.
After like an hour of searching me down in this crypt and everything, we finally go, oh yeah, who are you?
Sorry, what was the surname?
Friari or Grafford.
Did we take the body of the other one? You know, the other person we were sent to find?
I assume that
The
we just
other-
did a pyre to save time.
The person that was like
Dead.
yeah, dead, but was one of the missing people.
Which one was that?
I can't remember.
The other one.
Just bring back the head.
You were
That's
looking
a lot
for
easier
the.
to
You were
carry.
looking for the barmaid. That was the one that
there
was.
was another one.
There was another one. She definitely said, "Oh, well, that one's dead," but then that one's still alive.
Oh no, Autie was just reeling off a list of the people
Oh.
whose missing posters she had in her pocket.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah,
She'd
so
gathered all the missing posters, probably taken them off the walls, and then found them all and decided that it probably wasn't worth hawking back bodies.
how do
It's
we
easier
evidence?
to tell people where they are.
Oh yeah, we just say that we found them there, down
Okay.
there.
There's enough to fill a cart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so they-
But that's going to get you a reward. Yeah, we found them and left them.
Yeah, you met. You met.
Well, I'm pretty sure the missing poster said dead or alive.
when
so-
you
The spiral
Take the
shine will
take
be
the head
able
back
to
to the
arrange
family.
the proper.
Yes.
When you
rituals.
faced the Mortic Circus, you met Dixon Grafford, who was her brother,
Yes.
who was looking for Ariel, who'd gone missing. And he was there with the bunch of people who were almost fed to the insects.
Big fan of
Which now you
insects
remember
in this
that.
place.
You think about those jars. Were they the same insects in the jars that were in that tank?
I've got the time. Would I be able to take one of the insects in the jar? Like, before
I assume you would have wanted something, yeah.
Okay, sweet. So the journal and the insect in the jar.
Let's go home and have a nice cup of tea
We
at
were
that
going
nice
to-
shrine place. Well, that's our temporary home in this horrible place that we're working.
The Spiral Shrine is definitely a home to.
Oh,
Some of us.
yeah. Home. It's a ship. With a
It's
cannon
a ship,
deck.
but at least
You can't say that. I thought it was very nice there.
Ship.
It is, but-
Ship, Bethilde. Ship.
Oh, a ship!
Yeah. I'm really worried about this fact. First of all, she was bad enough. Now she's dead and bad enough.
That's a conversation for once we're all a little bit more rested.
Perhaps we could ask somebody at Phrasma's temple why she's still alive.
I think
We
we,
did.
asked them last
we did,
time.
didn't we? Did,
Yes.
didn't we?
I'm fairly
Yeah.
sure it's because I'm incredibly important and too important to die.
Clearly she has plot armor.
Yes.
Ulti, what was the reward off the wanted posters for the people we found?
Missing, not wanted.
By,
Mr.
Well, they were wanted. That they didn't.
wanted.
for Ariel here, I'm getting a gold piece. For the others, it's going to be 5 silver pieces per body returned.
Okay, so
So
Body
it's
we-
not really
should,
worth my time.
It is because we could negotiate with the Spiral Shrine for them to take a cart down. It would then be able to give them money for doing it, and therefore the shrine would
Have
receive
you ever
money.
tried to negotiate with a follower of Phrasma when they're doing all the work?
We've done half the work. We found them.
Yes, we found them, but then they have to go get a cart and take it there. And believe me, by the time they've done that, any Phrasman worth their salt will negotiate you down to 0%.
Well, then it's a charity job. Isn't that pleasant?
Oh, isn't that such pleasant? Charity is such delightful.
I mean, you were a charity case and we took you on.
I don't think I was a charity case. I think I saved you, if I remember rightly.
Who saved who? It doesn't really matter.
It does
You've
to me.
joined us now.
Apparently
doesn't
I have.
She doesn't speak for all of us.
Why, don't you like me?
No, I do like you, but I don't want you to be offended.
I can kill her if you like. Your kobold friend has suggested it at least 3 times.
No, she's...
Well,
She actually just can't be killed, I think.
I
There's
would
one
say,
way
I'm
to test that
immortal,
theory.
I'm
It
a
just
god.
keeps coming back.
I would say she's harmless, but...
Harmless? No, look, they're right here.
Can Minesh ask Ulti for the wad of missing papers of the ones that she has given up on?
yep, she gives you a whole wad of missing posters. There's
Okay.
about 23 of them.
Yep. 23 times 5 is a good,
Yeah, except that if you ask the Spiral Shrine to send a cart, they're going to go, well, we get the thank you for the donation.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to
Could we ask to
negotiate-
borrow a cart?
You could ask to borrow a cart, but then you've got to pay for the cart in case it gets damaged.
Why don't you just literally just give it to the Spiral Shrine? Like,
Well,
they're a charity.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know.
I was gonna do that, but then say as a donation, if you can give us anything for our continued service.
For our
that's
charity
not-
to you, can you give us charity in return?
Well, they give us potions, right?
They've given us healing and food and
Yeah,
rest,
shelter. Moral guidance.
I think
I think there was some biscuits.
I didn't ask for the moral guidance.
tea.
But you need
Like,
it.
importantly, the tea.
sometimes it's one of those things that if you support others, you should just have faith that they will support you back when the opportunity presents itself.
Yep, that's right. What happens, Minesh, is we let them do all the work and collect the money, and then we rob the Spiral Shrine.
No, Tuppence.
Tuppence. I'm starting to like you more and more.
Even I wasn't gonna go that far.
Tuppence,
Well,
not
that's how
even
it
the
works.
Hurricane
It was just a
Queen
few silver
robs
for our work.
temples, unless they're
I know,
Chilaxian.
but it's not a temple, it's a shrine.
It's the same difference.
All right. Just what I would normally do to a ship, right? And let
Do
them
you
pick up
want
the
me
cargo.
to
and-
write to the Hurricane Queen?
Oh, you're my protege. I outrank you.
Not when you are dragging her name through the mud.
I didn't mention her at all.
Such a teacher's pet, even then. Like, I'm going to tell on you.
You can tell her the Hurricane
You can
Queen.
tell your mom.
She'd probably pat me on the back and go, good on you for being enterprising, Tuppence. You always have been a good kobold.
This is why he outranks you.
Yep, that and the fact that I've served on the Hurricane Queen ship for at least 20 years longer than you have.
Yes, but I've served on it my entire life.
How
Yep.
old are you?
Me? I'm about 40.
Oh, you look so young.
Yep.
Healthy.
Yeah. Scars don't show, do they?
Let's make our way to the spiral
You
shrine.
make it to the spiral
Spiral
shrine. As you open the doors to the spiral shrine and walk inside, Dietzia is standing there and she goes, "Ah, welcome back. I'm so glad you're all still alive. Did you find what you were looking for?"
Wow.
Oh, did we?
Yes.
A
Wonderful
very
to see you.
strange fellow that we found.
Oh,
Kind
really?
of he was kind of metal and kind
Perhaps
of
we
person.
should sit somewhere comfortably and have this conversation rather than just stand
Kind
here.
of metal, kind of a person. You mean he had a disability? Did he have a prosthesis?
I suppose you could say that, but rather than the prosthesis being the metal bits, like the human bits was the prosthesis.
Do you mean he'd had a regeneration spell cast on him?
I mean, that could have happened. I don't know. I didn't really ask him.
Can
He
I,
was too
can
busy
I,
trying
can
to
I
kill
grab
me.
her attention and go into very extreme and gory detail, vividly describing and
Oh,
explaining
wow.
what Gale was?
Oh, I see. That's quite horrific even for the Precipice Quarter.
And
Brutally.
fortunately, we have discovered the bodies that he left behind, and it may well be worth sending some clerics out to ensure that they receive the proper rites.
I can muster some undead hunters and clerics and we can
And,
retrieve those
I
bodies.
think there was a reward for some of the...
Excellent. The church could use more money to shore up its defences against the undead that rule this part of town.
And repair the roof, because church roofs always need
No,
repairing.
the roof's quite fine. It's usually the gates and the walls.
Well, since you've done such a laudable job here, I think I've decided I'm going to add a copper to every single pint that we sell in Barnacle, and I'm going to take that copper and I'm going to give some of those to the Spiral Shrine.
Some.
As a donation.
Your
Yeah, there's some
charity
fees
is quite-
involved.
Your charity is quite appreciated.
It's going to
Yes.
be an opt-out system.
I'm assuming you'd like some tea.
Oh,
Tea,
yes.
Biscuits.
Biscuits.
Some lodgings.
I've dragged a
Finger
table into that room
sandwiches.
since you were last in it because I thought it was lacking.
Yes, and lodgings for the night.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that can be arranged.
Yes, and is Lady Neferpacha?
No, she'll be here next
Demand
week.
to see Lady.
Yeah, we're saying like, what time is it actually like since coming back? Like now, we're
It's about 8 o'clock in the evening by now.
Okay, so yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty
definitely
good time.
bedtime.
No, Lady Neferpatra only comes once a week.
Oh, once a week.
Do you have one of those delightful night masses on?
No, not today.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a library here?
We have a walled section of books, yes. Just down the corridor, first door on the right.
Book session. Let's go.
Do you have a games room?
No, this is a church.
Pool? A tennis court?
No. And the undead pretty much took over the swimming pool.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun side quest.
Yeah, the swimming pool's on the other side of town.
Sorry, I'm just imagining, like, do you remember the game you used to have when you were kids? Where it was like the fishing game, where there were all little fish and they had like magnets on them, and you had to catch them. They like,
Oh,
when
yeah,
they
yeah,
moved
yeah.
around, and like you caught them with the magnet. I'm just imagining that, but with like undead. You're just like, do scoop.
Minesh hands her the wad of missing people
Oh, dear me,
papers.
that's a lot.
They're all
We
down
also,
there.
Found Ferrier or the barmaid, whatever.
I don't know who that is.
Free.
Yeah.
Frey Ariel.
Yes.
Right.
Fifi, we found this
Yes.
Fifi over here.
Oh, my name is not Fifi, it's Frey Ariel.
So Fifi is not feeling so well, but she's feeling much better. But I think she also could probably do with a nice rest somewhere safe.
As you say that, Alti looks at the halfling and just guides her down the corridor, just shaking her head. I'll find the room. You lot can catch up when you're finished talking to this lovely cleric.
So, I will pull out the journal and I'll show the page which has got the sketch on it. So, do you recognise any imagery on this doodle?
Yes, they're psychopoms.
Yes, yeah. Anything specifically?
Well, that's a Marigna and that's a Vanth.
Anything even more specific? Like we've been told that these have individual names. I'm
Well,
trying to figure
some
that out.
psychopoms do, yes.
Is there any way of finding what these individual names may be?
You're welcome to have a look in the books that we have on offer, but I don't know.
And if we can't find it in the books ourselves, who would be the most well-read members of
Well,
the church?
the person who knows the most about Pharasman lore is Telandris. He's not here.
Where is he?
I don't know. It's part of the problem. It's been like that for a day now.
Ooh.
Even 2 days. Yes, he disappeared a couple of days ago.
Where was he? Did he say
Where was he
anything
last?
before he disappeared, or was he working on anything?
No, he didn't say anything before he disappeared. However, he did complain about nightmares for the past couple of weeks, and he's not been seen in a couple of days.
Did he?
Anything specifically with the nightmares?
He did say a lot about bugs and children.
Children.
Bug
Yes.
children.
No, two separate statements. Bugs and children.
And how long had he been suffering from these nightmares?
2 weeks.
Any mention of psychoprompts in his dreams?
No, he just said that he had to save the children from the bugs.
From the what?
From the bugs.
I thought you said from the books.
No, from
Saying-
the
I
bugs.
thought you said from
Saying
the
that,
box.
here saying that, can I recall knowledge to see if I can figure out what he could mean by that?
Yeah, you can roll society or you can roll occultism.
Can I? Sorry.
Had he visited anywhere in the last 2 weeks, or was he just at the Spiral Shrine
Well,
constantly?
he visited his mother, but I don't think she caused his nightmares.
No, but I'm asking if he left.
No.
this-
He'd been pretty much here for 2 weeks. He'd stayed in the dormitories just as you were.
Was there either place with bugs or like a school?
Roll society.
Got a 12 on society.
You have no idea. Doesn't really ring anything. But you're not local, so this isn't unusual for you not to have specific knowledge of every neighbourhood.
10?
You have no idea.
You also have no excuse.
I
You
was
live here.
homeschooled, so it could be quite exciting to go visit a school. Don't suppose any recommendations on where we might find him then? Schools?
Schools?
Schools in,
You were
the-
homeschooled.
Where?
in this... What's,
You were homeschooled.
yeah,
That
nothing wrong with
explains
that.
so much.
My parents took a lot of time and care with my education.
You were schooled?
Yes, extensively.
Oh,
Oh,
Yep.
that's impressive.
That's just what the bullies called it when they bent him over his knee.
whoa.
Was,
Maybe I did miss out.
did you say anything else about these children that needed saving? Like what they
No,
needed
he was
saving
very vague about the
from?
details.
There's not like an orphanage that the Spiral Shrine
Well, I just got asked about, is there a school in the area? Well, there used to be.
used to be.
Yes.
Happened
to
to it.
elaborate.
What happened to it?
Because
Well,
we haven't seen many children, so I assume they died in the earthquake.
yeah, that would be pretty
figured-
accurate. Unfortunately, some sort of sewer pipe burst, and sewer kind of aqueduct kind of thing burst and flooded through an acropolis into the school, and it carried cursed water.
That sounds
Yes.
incredibly unpleasant.
Yes, it was incredibly unpleasant and an unlikely sequence of events, if ever there was one.
This happened at the time of the earthquake.
Yes, the earthquake sheared through the sewer flooded water into the crypt poisoned the water with a curse, and the curse killed everybody in the school.
Excuse my language, but that sounds like a shitstorm.
And,
It really was.
and tell...
Quite literally.
When you...
God. Tell me this. Tell Andrus was talking about obviously having to save the children,
Yes.
but also bugs.
Yes.
Say anything other than bugs?
Well, is there any reason why we might expect to find large amounts of bugs at this school?
Not at the school, no. But in the adjacent pleasure garden, there's a load of bugs.
What kind of pleasure garden? A garden of pleasures?
Well,
Or a garden which is pleasing?
Are you trying to recruit more staff?
No, I don't have a garden. I don't need a garden.
perhaps I should rephrase it as an amusement park, but not the kind like a fairground, but more like one of those with different attractions in it. A menagerie, there was some sort of historical tour, things like that. A lovely Cherry Tree Avenue. I don't know what's left there now, though, because it's about the time of the earthquake. A few days later, a huge swarm of insects descended upon the ground and have been there ever since.
Well, I think we know where Talandrus is then.
I mean,
Well, I
apart
really
from-
hope not.
Apart from the insects, that sounds delightful. That sounds like a wonderful day out.
Did he leave any of his belongings here? Maybe a journal or anything?
Well, I haven't gone poking through his things.
Can we?
I mean, if you really...
For the sake of helping to find
Yes,
them.
If you think you can find him, it's not like I can go traipsing around by myself in the precipice quarter. So if you think you can find him, yes, I'll show you. Would have been in the room next to yours.
See if you would permit us.
I am
to-
sure we could. I would like to find him safe.
Yes, as would we.
I will allow you to investigators' things. Please be respectful.
Of course, always.
Tuppence looks at you, be like,
Ah!
do you reckon these priests have much money?
Maybe it should just be like me and Xander that check through his stuff. And maybe Minesh. Probably Minesh. For moral guidance.
I'm extremely moral and I'm extremely trustworthy.
I don't know where you get your moral guidance from, but Minesh's answer to everything is electric arc.
And I'm simply
Seems
looking
to
for
work.
clues as to how we could perhaps find Telandris.
Sure. Let's go check his stuff.
I'll put the
In
kettle on.
a respectful way.
Yes, of course.
So you follow the spiral of the building around until you find the dormitories, open one of the doors and dump your kit in it. So you dump your stuff in the room and you move next door into this single occupancy sort of dorm. Opening the door, there's a desk in there, wardrobe, and what seems like a small bedside bureau. What do you want to look at?
Oh, I want to look for any like journals, writings, sketches, anything.
Okay, roll a perception check. Who else is searching this poor missing man's room?
I'll be helping. I'm looking for any indication as to, like, perhaps what he's done to prepare for leaving. Has he taken particular stuff with him, left stuff behind? Does he
Okay.
seem like he went for a long, like, was he expecting to be away for a long time?
Yep. Roll a perception check.
Can I also just have a look around the general vicinity, see if I can find anything maybe obviously out of place, like stuff that's been knocked over or whatever, to see if we can get an idea of where, you know what I mean?
Yeah, roll a perception check.
I'm going to say, Beauregard, can you sniff anything interesting out? I'm going to get Beauregard. So.
Beauregard goes,
15? That's okay, boys. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's go have that tea.
he spits on the floor, some kind of bile leaking out his mouth.
17
I think you need to worry about the snail.
17.
for Katarra, yeah.
Okay.
That one.
Now, one, Bertie, you have no idea what's going on in this room.
Lovely
you think
room, though.
You think it's all very tidy. It's like it's tidy. There's nothing out of place. He just left. He's gone. He'll be back in a couple of days. It's fine.
You know, Xander,
11.
one day I'll have a room
11.
like this.
Nothing really jumps out at you that's different. When you're 17, you rummage around for some writings or something.
Like journal or anything.
There's no journal. You do find some scrap paper in the drawer, which has got scribblings of what seem like random thoughts that somebody has scribbled down to come back to you later. And they include things. There's things there like ask Lady Neferpatra or must get more tea. But then there's a couple in there that are like, what does the watch commander know? Talk to Beravel. And then must buy antidotes.
Would the watch commander be the Knights of Last War?
No, well, that's the Watcher Lord. So
Do a society check to see if we know.
it
who
could
this
be.
is.
It could be it could be sort of a misnotation. It's entirely possible.
Can we do a society check to see if we know who this is?
Yeah.
Or would it, yeah.
That would be 15.
I mean, it's entirely possible that he is referring to the Knights of Last War. Commander of the Knights of Last War is called the Watcher Lord. So it wouldn't be outside the bounds of possibility that it's a quick note that they've written down. They've just misremembered the title. It's possible.
So, what was the name you gave? Speak to
Lady Neferpatra.
the
the
one
watch-
Beravel.
Beravel.
Berreville. Okay.
Yeah.
I would go back to find her or a cleric or somebody.
You go back looking for Dietzia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
She's
Whoever the
she's
wench is
making
that we first
tea
met.
in the other
Yeah,
room.
okay, that one. So I'll give
She
it.
ignores you completely, knowing that you've forgotten her name.
I'll say, oh, sorry.
So, call a
sorry,
wench
dear.
is fine.
I'm not very good with names. I have an awful lot in my head and
Do
then I
you?
forget them.
Where did
I-
you come from?
I wondered whether we had. I know we've had that encounter with the strange fellow that was kind
Yes.
of metal man.
I'm
and
never
man
going
and
to
metal.
sleep properly again.
Oh no, don't worry about. Well, this might not help, but he kept mentioning this entity or this god that I'm not familiar with, but obviously you being a cleric or a god person, you would probably know, maybe. So could I perhaps show you what I saw?
Sure. She looks
And-
at you with a lot of trepidation.
And I just sort of like hold her hand and I show her a vision, of when I held Gale's hand,
Okay.
and I sort of had a sense of what the Wanderer. It was the Wanderer, wasn't it?
The Wanderer, yeah.
What the Wanderer was.
You held her hand and you show her this vision, and immediately you show her that vision. She jerks backwards, and you just see her eyes go wide. I have no idea what that is at all. Whatever it is, terrifying. It's not a-
I know. I'm
it's not
sorry.
a god I know of.
I know, but I don't know everything about gods, and I don't assume that you do, but I assume you know a lot more than I do. So
Gods are usually entities. They're not thousands of voices screaming into a void.
have you ever heard of or seen anything like this? It's very curious.
She shakes her head slowly after a moment of thought. I mean, there is an entire plane out there that draws from void energy. On the one end of the spectrum, you have the vitality plane, which is creation's forge. Everything comes out of it. All of the energy that fuels us as beings. Void energy is the total antithesis of that.
He did have some void juice on him, so maybe that was it.
You didn't know about the void
Oh
juice.
no, I didn't know that. I know it's a
I'm
great.
sensing that your companion, who's got the scowl, the permanent scowl, the human, is somewhat selfish with magical treasure.
No, it's not. It's just he likes things. Some people are like that.
Magpies are like that.
Some people have people, and some people have things. It's their way. I know it is a great burden, but I feel that this is a very key thing to what's going on here. Could I leave this information with you, and then just maybe pass it around your friends? And if anybody hears anything that makes sense, could you, I don't know, leave a memo on a card for me next time we come round?
You're friends with Barnaby Strucker, yes?
Oh yes.
I can send him a pigeon.
Yes, that would be delightful. Yes. Say it's from Bethilde.
Yes, I'll send him a pigeon on behalf... Why would I send him a pigeon? For your message for you. On your behalf.
So he knows it's for me.
Okay, I'll say... Oh, for Bethilde, not from Bethilde.
Yes.
Right.
I'm glad that we've had this conversation. Thank you. None of us are. I'll have 2 lumps, please.
This is the Bethilde effect. The confusion sparks up more and more.
I feel like we've gotten to know each other so much better.
Oh,
She
yes.
puts 2 lumps of sugar into a cup and hands you a cup of tea.
Oh, delightful. Thank
Why don't you take
dear.
a seat and I'll go and tell the others that the tea's ready.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, you are a dear. Thank
Bustles off this young woman
Beauregard.
looking back.
So there was nothing else that we found.
No,
in
you just
this
found these
room?
scribbled notes mentioning a watch commander and Beravel.
Okay, if we open like the wardrobe doors, is there like a lot of clothes in there, or is it?
Seems to be an averagely filled wardrobe. There's no obvious gaps.
Okay.
You search through, you find drawers in the bottom that contain a load of underwear that a male would wear. There's not a great deal that stands out as missing. There's no obvious things that have been taken. It looks almost like they just walked out the door and didn't come back.
I think.
Just a few random scraps of paper.
Did you share the information that was on there?
Yeah.
okay.
I was sort of say that
Well,
these
I think
seem
our
to be
best
the
bet then is
only-
to speak to Bereville.
whoever that may be.
Or at least we would Bertie know the watch? Bertie, do you know who the watch commander is?
I mean,
I know
I've
somebody.
heard of
How
the
long
Knights
have
of
you
Last.
been a cleric of Pharasma?
a day.
It honestly sounds like a week.
Well,
About a
to be
week.
honest, I'm just really quite glad that you consider me a cleric.
Wait, what?
Don't him.
Are you not a cleric?
Well, you know, like I'm a bit self-taught, and
I mean, listen, Minesh, I don't think he's a cleric. The man's a burglar.
you know, like I discovered Pharasma not that long ago, and you know, I've been learning and learning a
You're
bit more.
amazing with your healing spells.
It's so nice, Minesh.
His Bertie's face just lights up, his cheeks grow warm red colour.
Bashful.
As a druid, I completely appreciate your healing. So
We
you are a
completely-
cleric.
I completely appreciate somebody that counterbalances Minesh's fire first, ask questions later.
I mean, I discovered a book on Pharasma, and the more I read it, the more power she gave me. And
Wait, you got powers from a god because you read a book?
Books
Oh,
are very
yeah.
powerful.
I've read many books in life. Nobody's given me any powers.
Probably because they're not the sort of books.
Yours are
that give you
erotic, that's why.
I know quite a lot about world history, thank you very much, and naval history and sailing, and I've read quite a few books about Long John Silver.
So we call you
He's
mate
a
John.
pulp hero. Haven't you heard of him? It's like, Long John Silver of Golarion.
They're the black dot.
I imagine how those books on Long John Silver will have resonated with you in some way.
Oh yeah, he makes me walk the plank all the time.
That's much how I felt when I was reading the books on Pharasma, and it just seemed to awaken something within me.
Maybe.
And then the dreams started, and honestly,
Maybe I don't
That's
get
not
any.
called puberty.
That's just something Bethilde says sometimes.
I don't believe I was taught about that by my parents as part of my homeschooling.
Bethilde's head just appears out the door the other side of the hallway and is like, is that puberty? Tuppence just looks around and goes, maybe, Governor. I don't get any powers from reading books because I'm already a god.
You keep telling yourself that, Tuppence.
I've told myself I'm a dragon for long enough and I believe it's true.
You have. I just pat him on the
Don't be patronising.
Condescending.
Are kobolds draconic, or are they no?
I mean, they
a big
tend
no.
to... The kobolds tend to be born and hatched around places of extreme power, which could be
a dragon.
a dragon, it could be an elemental rift, it could be anything. So his tribe probably did hatch in a cave that was near a dragon.
Okay,
But he's
he's not like innately a draconic creature. No.
The fact that he can puff out a little bit of poison now and again, that it's not really that useful in battle because he's usually breathing too heavily to use it. But the idea that he is a lizard of some description, he's vaguely related to a dragon probably, but more in the case of any elemental energy, his dark vision and other things like that would have been influenced by proximity to one rather than, and the inherent magic of a dragon rather than anything else. He probably, going by his love of gold and treasure, he probably was born somewhere near a fortune dragon.
Is this all stuff that Xander will pick up on, or?
Well, if you were guessing what kind of dragon he's claiming to be, you imagine it would be one of those, because they tend to sit on top of their hoard to the point where it actually starts to cling to them.
Okay.
So a fortune dragon, actually, it's got currents that run through, if I remember the lore, currents run through its body to the point where it actually fuses the metallic of its hoard to its actual body, so it becomes gilded with gold. So its tail will have gold stuck to it and things like that.
We can always ask someone in the Spiral Shrine who the Watch Commander is and who Bereville is.
Oh, we could ask
Definitely
Barnaby.
Yes,
I
but
mean, he is an investigator.
he is an
could
investigator.
ask
Somebody
Pete.
say Barnaby.
Oh my God, that woman has hearing like a bat.
Yes, but we're staying here for the night and we're surrounded by people, clerics, acolytes. They may have some information.
Barnaby's quite far away, and if
Exactly,
Talandris does need help, I guess the less time we waste, the better.
Perhaps someone here knows who the Watch Commander is or who Bereville is and can give us a lead.
Or maybe they'll say, talk to Mr. Strucker.
Well, they may do that, but there's no harm in asking, is there?
Well, I was just pointing out there's a perfectly
know.
good investigator on our list of to-dos.
Yes, but we're hours away
It's on
from
Bethilde's
said-
list of to-dos.
We are hours away from said investigator, so we may as well ask
We-
what's
90
her name?
minutes to 2 hours walking.
Did we not send a pigeon?
No, we can ask her what's her name.
Deetsia.
Yeah.
We have you got a pigeon? Can you summon animals?
No.
Do you
But
know
why
any
don't we
animals?
Can you
The shrine.
druids can turn into animals? Go
They
on.
have a post room.
No, but why don't we
do have
just
a post
ask
room.
someone who's here first?
Yeah, we can
Before
do both.
bothering Barnaby.
Well,
If
we
it's
do have
someone
to go
here-
back to Barnaby because he
Are we
did.
going to see Barnaby?
Can we send a message and do both so we're not wasting time?
Yeah, can I go find
You go find Deetsia. She's standing in one of
Yeah.
the. She's standing in one of the rooms, leaning against the wall,
And be like, I'm so sorry to
rubbing her temple.
I'm so sorry to bother you. I really am.
Yeah, did you find anything in Telandris's room?
Just a few scraps, bit of paper. He was talking about how he needs to know what the Watch Commander knows and needs to talk to Bereville, and that he must buy antidotes.
Well, no, none of that makes any sense to me.
So you don't know who the Watch Commander is?
The closest I can think of is the Watcher Lord over at Vigil's Hope.
And what's their name?
The Watcher Lord.
So they don't have a, like...
First name Watcher, second name Lord.
Yes, the Watcher Lord.
His job role is Watch Commander.
So they
Watcher
don't
Lord, Watch
have
Commander.
a first name, a surname.
They're Watcher Lord Ulthan the Second, I think it is.
Okay, and you've never had the name Bereville before?
No, no, that one doesn't ring a bell. Ulthan the Second, yes. Watcher Lord Ulthan the Second. Very handsome chap.
And where is he based, sorry?
Vigil's Hope.
Vigil's Hope.
Yes, far side of the district. Past all the worst bits of it.
Okay,
If you're looking for a particular person, though, I know an investigator that could help you.
Yes, I know. We're going to speak to him in the morning once we've slept.
Good idea.
Why is everyone so obsessed with Barnaby?
He's very nice. He's a...
I'm not sharing on with Bethilde.
She looks at you, places a hand on your shoulder, goes, "It's not really for me to say about his connections with the Spiral Shrine, but he is a dear friend to this place and understands the grief and tragedy of what happened to the people of this district."
Thank you. You've been very helpful and very hospitable.
We try.
Well, good night.
Good night. As you say that, you walk into a room and then Ulti is sitting there on a stool, leaning up against the wall, and she's looking at you. And the barmaid's already taken one of the beds. And she
Not having a cup of tea with Bethilde.
she
No,
sits
no,
there and she
Ulti
looks
has
across
got
at
the barmaid.
Bertie and is like, "Does that woman always react to the words Barnaby quite so vigorously?
Barnaby?
I mean, I think
Is it
it's...
some kind of fetish you need to tell me about?"
Well, I don't know much about fetishes, but I think,
Bertie, you're
I think
so
it's...
innocent. It's
He
almost
was
like...
homeschooled.
I think...
You don't know about
clarify
puberty, you don't know about fetishes.
I'd like to clarify for our listeners at home that being homeschooled is okay.
We have no strong opinions
There is
either
nothing
which
wrong
way.
with
Bertie,
you.
I may have to just explain to you just how dark a world you've walked into.
I like to think that it's quite endearing that Bethilde is so smitten with Barnaby. He is a nice fellow.
I would say he probably might be a nice fellow, but I would say he's quite... I'd rather have assassins trailing after me, perfectly.
Well, this is back,
Talking
perhaps back
about
into
Barnaby's
these
asses, That's not very nice.
I would much rather be facing death every day than knowing that woman was going to turn up at my door and go, "Hello, dear, I'm here for some rumpy pumpy."
Well,
Unfortunately, you've got both.
everyone has very different tastes in life, and
I know, and she had very different tastes when she was alive.
I'm sure one day she'll find the right person for her.
Well, hopefully one day she'll decide not to come back from the grave.
Yeah, like a worrying snail constantly on Barnaby's trail.
I mean, that snail is rather worrying. Have you
Yeah.
noticed how desiccated it looks?
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that, but
I'm not quite sure whether adding salt to it would do any good.
I guess
I mean, we would learn quite quickly whether it's an immortal snail.
I mean, they're still alive, if rather unhealthy looking.
They do look very unhealthy.
Beauregard just enters the room and it's like,
Like an old pug.
yeah. we love all dogs. Just sort of like,
Well, they do.
and it's sort of like it should be making a more slimy noise, but somehow it's still kind of rasping. Like bits of it are wet and bits of it are dry. It's
There's
just sort of like,
flakes
sort
of
of
snail
looks-
skin left on the
Oh,
carpet.
yeah.
and he just sort of looks up hopefully at like Ulti and
I was
Bertie.
going to sleep in a different room to this one.
I'm very tempted to cast a harm spell on this monstrosity.
I mean, I did consider Vitality Lash myself, actually. Just to
Perhaps you could.
Just to see if it would
At
take...
least it would
hold.
rule off the fact that it could be an undead snail.
Well, that's what I was wondering, and it would give me an answer to that.
I'll stand guard at the door while you cast Vitality
I
Lash.
just feel like it might be a betrayal of
I mean, if
Bethilde's
it's
trust.
alive, it won't hurt it.
God.
And you are a Phrasman cleric. I mean, slaying the undead is right up there with laying bodies to rest.
Okay, I just touch it with a bit of vitality lash.
It
and-
doesn't affect very
Oh,
well.
thank God.
He's like,
Seems fine.
He's like looking at you like with like puppy dog eyes, like you would never hurt me.
He almost looks a bit healthier. Like you've touched him with a bit of vitality, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, see, he just needs constant healing. I think, like it doesn't quite take hold when you heal him.
He just sort of if a snail could smile, he smiles and kind of coughs up a bunch of goo on your foot.
Oh,
She-
see,
And you're like, is
an
that a thank
affectionate
you?
cough.
Yeah.
My girlfriend does the same.
You have a girlfriend, Bertie?
That's a character.
Alti studies.
Bertie doesn't know what a girlfriend is.
Alti looks at the snail and studies it. I always get the feeling it's trying to draw life into it from all of its surroundings. Anything that's potentially wounded would have a much stronger opening of vitality, and it seems to want to draw everything from it.
Yeah, but like I said, doesn't seem to be
No.
capable of holding on to that vitality for long.
No, it's almost like it's like an electric charge that's constantly trying to keep itself in being.
But I mean, I suppose it's nice to know that you're also thinking about this, because I have been thinking about it for quite some bit today, and
Sure you have.
it is not the least of our problems, but perhaps not the most significant of our problems as well.
I think the biggest problem that we've got is the way that we cannot rely on certain individuals in the party to contribute in any way should we get into any scrapes. I'm kind of wondering what exactly the benefit of one of us turning into a snail was.
I believe I saw the formations of a plan at one stage during our
I believe
encounter.
I saw
Concept of a plan. You saw me hide in some bodies and then slide up the wall and then fall off.
As long as everyone within our group remain well-meaning,
Well, if the well-meaning was to hide and then to climb up a wall and across the ceiling in some ill-conceived escape attempt, I think they accomplished it quite well.
see, I think there was bravery there that you missed, you see, because as far as I could tell, the snail was heading in the direction of our enemy.
Do you think
and
they were
could
going to
have been-
drop on his head?
Yes, I think that's precisely what she
I would
planned.
think a snail. I would think that somebody who turned into a snail, which has a very fragile shell from a height of 10 feet, would learn quite quickly the error of their ways.
Well, hopefully we'll see improved performance at our next outing.
Perhaps you perhaps,
Performance improvement plan.
Bethilde's about to get sacked.
perhaps you should consider a performance improvement review.
Yes.
Aren't you the leader of this motley group?
I am most definitely not the leader. I think Xander might.
You're goddamn right, buddy.
But I would
That's all I
never,
to
I
hear.
would never tell him
I'm
that.
fairly certain, having
might be
observed you for
tuppence.
2 days now, that Xander is not the leader. He just thinks he is.
I don't know if any of us are quite best suited.
We don't need
for
a
I
leader
think
leadership.
the
yet.
bold is
To our
the
listeners
best
at home, don't listen to
option.
Mike. He's full
I
of it.
strangely do think the Kobold might be the best option, but
I think he
I
at
worry
least
that
has a-
leads to a life of crime.
He has a very simple approach.
playing the
He has a very simple approach to life. Bash the door in, or kill it, or rob it. At least you know where you stand with him.
We all find our way to the Lady of the Graves, and he's got a
he seems
direct
to be
route.
He seems to have sent many people on a direct route by the sounds of it.
Oh, well, hello. Are we having a conference? How's it going?
Yes, we're just discussing your
dear.
performance review.
Hello, Bertie. Oh, you found Beauregard. Well done.
Yeah, Beauregard's looking quite healthy right now, I feel.
Yeah, he's looking a little better. What have you been doing?
No, I cast harm
Did you
on
feed
him.
him some sugar?
No, we cast a spell on him.
It
Was
turns
it a nice spell?
It was a healing spell,
he
yeah.
quite
that's
likes
good.
vitality magic.
I don't know what that is.
It's
Neither
the
do I,
same type
really.
of magic that resurrects you from the brink of death.
Isn't that funny?
Yes, it's very funny.
Haha.
Can I do a like a sense motive type thing?
Yeah, go
on
for it.
Ulti, but using like my boneyard lore to try and work
You
out
could
whether
sense
she
motive
has
with your
like.
perception, or you could do a check with your bone
I'm gonna
lard
do a
draw.
boneyard lore check on
Okay.
Ulti.
I love that the barmaid's just been sat watching this conversation.
She's asleep. She's asleep.
That is
She's lying over pretending to be asleep.
24.
24. What are you trying to glean with
I'm trying to
boneyard
get
lore?
like, why are you so interested? And do you know anything about being dead and coming back that I don't? That you know what I mean? She seems to constantly be thinking about dead and coming back from the dead.
Well,
I hear
I
her
mean-
talking about it a lot.
You are in a temple of Pharasma, which is the first thing that strikes you. Secondly, you have all faced mortal peril, and allegedly, you died. Although you don't believe them. You think they were having you
I mean,
on.
I'm clearly alive.
You're clearly alive. However, given the last 2 days and the amount of times that you've got into a scrape that could have got somebody killed, it seems entirely reasonable for people to be thinking about death. And you did just walk through a crypt full of Pharasman iconography.
I have been meaning to ask. I did notice during our recent encounters that the nature of your magic appears to have changed since your scrape of death.
Is this just because I turned into a snail?
Oh, I think you were casting some
I mean,
different
that kind of did
spells.
surprise me myself as well. But I don't
I'd
know.
say-
At that moment, I sort of thought snail, and I became a snail. I think it happens.
Did you have any intention while you were the snail? Did you have any plans? Why?
Well,
what tactically did you
die.
gain?
I mean, I didn't die, so I was obviously successful.
But,
I'm fairly certain you spent a good time until Bertie helped you out, unconscious as a snail.
Not dead.
Xander walks in and sees this. We're grilling Bethilde. Brilliant. Let's get started.
This is our performance review, Xander. You're meant to be
review?
the HR manager of this group, are you not?
No. Okay, Bethilde, I don't know what the hell your problem is. You seem to just do things randomly for no actual reason. It is truly bizarre. For some reason, I don't know what your plan was to turn into a snail and hide in a bunch of corpses. What have you gained from any decision you have made in that basement or anywhere else leading to that basement? What the hell's going on?
Am I dead?
Yes, as far as we know. Yeah, you should be dead.
I'm clearly alive. Is anybody in the party dead?
You died.
No.
Minesh picked up your ashes. I don't know why you're here.
We haven't told her that bit.
What? Pardon?
Perhaps I can be of help here. Let me help. Ulti casts Spirit Link on you.
Ooh.
And connects her life force to yours. And you begin to feel a tick every 6 seconds, you think, of 2 hit points being restored to you. However, it does seem to heal you, both spiritually and physically. And after
How
about
many?
after about a minute, so it's basically 10 rounds, so it's 20 hit points. And you do notice that it gradually withers Ulti to within an inch of her hit point total. I'm quite convinced that she is alive. She seems to want to, she's healed by vitality.
You don't look that great. Do you want me to heal you?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I just need some air.
You definitely don't look
You-
very
you
well.
really
I
don't
really,
look well,
it's fine.
Bertie.
I think you
Allow
should rub
me.
some of that mud on her. She needs a
Yes,
mud
you
bath.
She
need a
rubs-
mud mask.
She rubs her hand on her clavicle and casts a spell on herself and says, I'm not quite, thank you very much.
Honestly, it's brilliant. Ask anyone who I've
Yes,
healed.
it's very refreshing.
Mud mask is
I'm
amazing.
I'm sure I can go for a mud mask.
Okay.
Back to Bethilde. So what is going on with you? Also, when we were fighting the automaton in that first room, I was lying there dying, barely conscious, and I could feel my essence, life force, being sucked away by your damn snail. What is that about?
I mean, I feel like that sounds like a you problem.
Don't make it a you problem. Okay, what's... He
I don't
opens
know.
up his spell book. Like, what?
I think you're all getting a little grumpy because you're tired. Maybe we should all go to bed. I will.
Grumpy
I will
'cause
just
I'm
take-
tired.
I will just take it on the chin that you're a bit grumpy and
You will
tired.
take it on the chin.
Okay. Yeah,
I
Bertie.
do think Aunt Bethilde might be right, and it might be bedtime.
Oh,
Yes.
could be Matilda.
Minesh gets out her mud and goes over to Ulti and starts placing mud on her face. And I was like, just
Love the party.
lay down, Ulti. We're relaxing, all going to bed now.
She looks at you kind of with this slight quiver of disgust in her lips. There's like mud on my face. It's almost like she definitely is used to more refined approaches to life, but she lays down on the bed and is like, okay, well, it does feel rather soothing after the day we've had.
And then I'll do treat wounds.
No. If you get some cucumbers, it will hide the bags under your eyes.
You just like poke
Xander,
in the eye
you're
with a
going
stick.
the right way. You're getting quite in trouble here.
So Minesh kind of massages the mud in and just kind of says, oh, I think this mud's quite old. It's not really working. I'll need to get some new mud for our adventures.
Right, I'll just go down to the washroom and get rid of it then, shall I?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, good night, everybody. Have a nice sleep, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning.
And as you all retire to bed, and some of you sort of wonder whether you're in a room with some sort of vampire snail or something else, or whatever other horrors you might imagine lurk beneath the surface of its shell, as you fall to sleep, Bethilde, you see burning red eyes in the darkest of night, staring at you along a long and empty road, watching you walk until your feet blister as you search for a house on the side of the road. And you just hear coming through the darkness behind you, keep walking. And that is where we end this episode.
You can find us on your favourite social media platforms. You'll find links in the description below.
Thanks as always to Syrinscape for the amazing atmosphere and music. Make sure you check them out at Syrinscape.com. You've just got to be using them at your gaming table because epic tales need epic music.
Thanks for listening. We've been Epic Tales and Critical Fails.